discus fish. For some people, they're the most beautiful fish out there, yet others completely dislike them. For years, I've been part of the latter group. I thought discus fish were too expensive, too fragile, and just not fun to keep. However, this all changed a few years ago when I bought my first discus fish. And I quickly realized that most of the reasons that I didn't want to buy discus fish were based on incorrect information. So that's why today I want to bust 5 myths about keeping discus fish. Let's dive in. 1. Discus fish die quickly and are fragile. One of the most persistent myths I've heard about discus fish is that they are extremely fragile. You don't have to look far to find videos of people saying that discus fish die at the slightest thing. My own experience and that of people around me is completely different. And of course, you need to keep a discus just like any other fish in the hobby in the right water parameters, at the right temperature and give it the right care. But once you do that, a discus fish is just like any other fish in the hobby. 2. Discus fish have absorbed water requirements. If you believe some people, you need to be a water chemistry expert to keep discus fish. Just like in point 1, some people act like all of your discus fish will die immediately if the temperature in your tank raises by 1 degree or if the water is slightly harder than the care guide suggests. The opposite is true. Of course, discus fish, like any other fish, have a range of water parameters that you need to meet. And if you exceed those parameters for a long time, it can affect the lifespan of your fish. However, it's not true that discus fish must be kept at exactly X degrees or they will die immediately. Additionally, some people swear that discus fish need to be kept in bare-bottom tanks. I completely disagree with this. I feel like every aquarist should be able to keep good, stable water parameters. And with the help of some aquarium plants, it's even easier to keep it like this. However, people often don't want to do their research, don't want to do the hard work, and just want to buy a fish that somehow magically doesn't die. Discus fish have water parameters that sometimes differ from your average fish. However, the base rule also applies here. A stable aquarium always wins from chasing perfect water parameters. Always. 3. Discus fish must be kept in a species-specific aquarium. Another myth that sometimes makes me really angry is that some people say discus fish must be kept in a species-specific aquarium. Of course, it can give a beautiful look if you keep an aquarium with only discus fish. But it's not true that they must be kept in a species-only aquarium. A common combination is discus fish with neon tetras, but many people also combine them with L numbers, for example. I also keep my discus fish, for example, with clown loaches. It may be an unusual combination, but it works very well together. Whatever fish you want to combine with your discus fish, as long as you do your research and these fish are compatible in terms of water parameters, setup and behavior, there's nothing stopping you from trying this combination. 4. They only eat live or frozen mosquito larvae. I often hear that discus fish are picky eaters, that they just want to eat frozen bloodworms or even live foods. But this is simply not true. Like, if you feed your fish a good, high quality pellet, a discus fish will readily accept those foods. Like, it's really not that hard. Personally, I'm a big fan of bug bite, but you can feed your discus anything he likes. 5. Bonus. Wait, before we go to number 5 and my most important myth about keeping discus fish, I want to leave you with some advice. Because when I started keeping discus fish, there was one advice that was given to me that I really didn't took to heart at the beginning, but I wish I did. The advice was as follows: buy your entire group of discus fish at once. At the time, I really thought this was like some sales trick of my local fish store, so I didn't do it. But what happens is, let's say for example you buy 3 discus fish today, and then 2 months later I'm gonna buy 2 more discus fish, and then 2 months later I'm gonna buy 1, and then 3 months later I'm gonna buy 3 again, something like that. What will happen is that the fish you bought the first time, they're gonna be the largest discus fish in the aquarium. And discus fish have a very strict hierarchy, meaning the biggest fish eats first, then the second one, etc., etc. But when there's a very big difference between the biggest fish and the smallest fish, they probably won't get to eating. And they probably, they first gonna look ugly, and they're probably at risk of starving. So to not give your discus fish the chance to single out a single discus fish, buy the entire group at once. And I know it's pricey to do this, I completely understand, because I would advise you to get at least 10 discus fish at once. That's like the bare minimum to me. However, it's still cheaper than continuously buying 2 discus fish, 1 dying off, 3 discus fish, 2 dying off, etc., etc. That's way more expensive. If you want to expand your group of discus fish after a while, I would advise adding a larger group of fish to your existing group. For example, try adding 6 smaller discus fish to your existing group all at once. That way, no single discus fish can be singled out, and the smaller ones will have a better chance of getting to the food. And myth number 5, and actually the conclusion of this video: discus fish are only for experts. While discus fish have certain requirements, they are not necessarily harder to keep than other fish species. For an absolute beginner, I would advise against discus fish, but this is purely based on the price tag. Because if you do your research, understand the nitrogen cycle of course, and how to keep good water parameters, you definitely can keep discus fish as a beginner. And if you really want to start with discus fish, do your research, thoroughly, and just go for it. For anyone who has kept fish before and is considering keeping discus fish, do it! You won't regret it, I can assure you. And that's the end of this video. Hopefully, I've been able to alleviate some of your fears about keeping discus fish. Still, make sure you read up well in advance for buying any fish. And if you enjoyed this video, I think this video also might be something for you.